Okay, so we're recording. Okay, so I've been reading this book and Present Over Perfect, Millionaire Success Habits, and I have those all in book form. And then Caitlin, you're fine. And then I have two books on Audible. Technically, I have three. I've already read one of them. Good Leaders Ask Great Questions is one. Whisper, How to Hear the Voice of God. That's the second one. And then the third one is Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. If y'all have not read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, do it. It's so good. But what I'm going to talk to y'all about is what I was reading yesterday in You Are a Badass. I just took some notes and I starred some of the stuff that I loved. And so what I was listening to was from Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and it totally went together with this. And it was crazy because I was talking to Chloe today, and she was telling me some stuff that she's been doing with her team. And if y'all are on her team, you know what I'm talking about. Just some like manifestation stuff, just like all these different things with her team that she's been doing. And I was like, this is what I've been doing. Like, this is so cool. And so we've been talking about, doing different things, and she might possibly lead our Zoom next week and show us, what she's been doing. And she's been doing a lot of research on all this stuff. So it's going to totally tie into what we're talking about tonight. But grab a piece of paper really quick if you don't have one, or just something to jot down some notes because you might want to. I can also just take a picture of this and send it in the group. But if you're like me, you like to have it where you can like flip to it, instead of just like it being in your photo albums. Like I never use that stuff. So up to you. But okay, so I'm going to go back reading like little clips of the book and then go back to just like my notes that I have here. If y'all want to add anything in at the end, feel free to do that. Just like, don't let me forget to ask you. Let me look at the chat really. Okay. So let's see. This might be all over the place, but I have somewhere that I'm going with it. So who's read You Are a Badass before, first of all? Okay. So some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, the rest of y'all, you should seriously get it. It's on Amazon for like, I think $10. It's really, really cheap. Okay, so in the introduction, she talks about, like get serious about what you want and then create it instead of pretending that you can't have it or that you don't deserve it or that you're greedy for wanting more. And I know for me, I think growing up in the church, we're just like kind of conditioned subconsciously, which we'll talk about in a second, but we're kind of conditioned to think that, if you have an abundance of things, then you're not giving enough and like you're selfish or you're greedy because you have a lot or, all of these things. And that's not biblical. Like there are rich people in the Bible who love the Lord, and there are rich people on earth right now who love the Lord. And so having things is not equal greed. And I have always thought that, I'll tell you later why I thought that, but just there's different things that we think, in our minds that have been caused by different circumstances in our life. And we don't think that we deserve the position that we're going for. Like, we're shooting for double diamond, but we feel like we just don't deserve that. And I feel like I don't deserve presidential, and so then she said, you need to go from wanting to change your life to deciding to change your life, which is such a difference because I think a lot of times, we're like, well, I want to go double. I want to go presidential. I want to go diamond. I want to go ruby, but are you deciding to do it? I think there's such a difference. And obviously I'm talking about myself with all of this too, just going to go ahead and say that because this is stuff that I've been learning. I just want to share it with you. But she said, wanting can be done sitting on a couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap. Basically, like you don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you like. You can just, anybody can be like, yeah, I want this. Anybody can do that. But she said deciding means jumping in all the way, doing whatever it takes and going after your dreams with the tenacity of a dateless cheerleader the week before prom night. She's a really funny author too. And she's really easy to read. I'm not a very good reader, but this is a book that I feel like I just can't put down. I just really, really like it a lot. So if you're kind of like that, this is a good book for you. So then she said, you're going to have to let go of old limiting beliefs and cling to your decision to create the life that you desire, like your life depends on it. And I think a lot of us are working to create the life that we want. We're striving to create the life that we want, but I don't think that we're doing it like our life depends on it. I know I haven't. Like, if I'm going to be honest, like, I know that, yeah, Darian, mine is like, just, it's crazy. I have notes everywhere. But, I mean, I think that a lot of us say that we want it, or we even claim that we want it, but then the work doesn't go with it. We don't work like our life depends on it. We don't, push other things to the side to really make this a priority. And I'm not saying this should consume your life. There has to be a balance. But whenever you are working your business, I think that a lot of us are holding ourselves back. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. So then I'm just going to read some notes that I have, and then there's some little bits of the book that I want to go back and read too. So she said, let go of self-limiting beliefs, which I think that all of us have, no matter what rank we are. I think that even, ambassadors have self-limiting beliefs, which is why they're not a black diamond. And I think black diamonds have self-limiting beliefs, which is why they're making $100,000 a month and not $1 million a month. And so, which sounds crazy, but it's all at the scale that you're at. So like right now, that just seems crazy to us, but we have to let go of our self-limiting beliefs, whatever that may be, and we'll talk later about what those could be. And then it says, if you want to live a life that you've never lived, you have to do things you've never done. And I know Cami says this all the time. I say this all the time, but this book is where that came from, I guess. Okay, so then I'm going to read you a little bit about the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind, because this blew my mind. So one second, I want to find where it is. Oh, here it is. Okay, so the conscious mind is like a relentless overachiever, incessantly spinning around from thought to thought, stopping only to whenever we sleep, and then starting back up again the second that we open our eyes. And our conscious minds, otherwise known as our frontal lobe, does not fully develop until sometime around puberty. Okay, so that's our conscious mind. So our conscious mind is where we like add up. She said the conscious mind, it's where we process all of our information. It's where we figure things out, where we judge, obsess, analyze, criticize, worry that our ears are too big, decide once and for all to stop eating fried food, grasp that 2 + 2 is 4, and where we left our car keys. Like all of that is your conscious mind, okay? But then and it's not developed until puberty. Your subconscious mind, though, is a non-analytical part of your brain that's fully developed whenever we arrive here on Earth. So at the moment that we're born, we have our subconscious mind fully, completely developed, and it's non-analytical. It's about feelings, instincts, and erupting into ear-piercing tantrums in the middle of supermarkets. It's also where we store all the early outside information that we get, which is the really important part for this, what we're going to talk about. And so she said that our subconscious beliefs are out of alignment with the things that we experience, or the things and experiences that we want in our conscious minds and in our hearts. Hang on, wait, let me find this in the book because I can't read my own handwriting. Okay, well, I can't find it, so I'm just going to read it from here. When our subconscious beliefs, so we're not actually actively thinking about this. We don't have to actively think with our subconscious. We just are. When our subconscious beliefs are out of alignment with things and experiences that we want in our conscious minds and our hearts, it creates confusing conflicts between what we are trying to create and what we are actually creating. I know that's super confusing. I read it 8 times. Maybe you're smarter than I am. But I'm going to give you some examples. So give me 1 second to find these. Okay, so she's saying no matter what you want, if you have an underlying subconscious belief that it's going to cause you pain, or if it's going to be unavailable to you, you either A, won't let yourself have it, or B, you'll let yourself have it, but you'll be really messed up about it, and then you'll go off and lose it anyway. So a couple of examples that she gave, and then I'll explain how it correlates to us. It's your conscious mind. I long to find and marry my soulmate. But your subconscious mind says intimacy leads to pain and suffering. The result, you don't have a ring on your finger. Your conscious mind, I want to lose 25 pounds. Subconscious mind, though, says people aren't safe and I must build a shield to protect myself. And then your body is a fortress of flab, is what she said. So basically, if you say that you want all these things. So a lot of us are saying, I want to be a whatever rank, or I want to be this type of a leader, or I want to be, a mass enroller, whatever it is. I want to have a car. I want to have a house, but whatever the thing that you're saying that you want is that you still don't have, but you've been saying that you want for forever. The reason that you don't have it is because in your subconscious, there's something holding you back and saying, but you actually can't have that. And you don't even realize that you're saying it. So in your conscious mind, so whenever you're saying that you want something, there's two things that have to happen. One, you have to train your subconscious mind to stop thinking the way that it has been thinking. And two, you have to put action to that. I think a lot of times we get into the whole, like, I'm going to claim it. I'm going to write it down and it's going to happen. That is so great. But if I just sit here and write, I am a millionaire 82 times today and do nothing else, guess what? I'm not going to be a millionaire because I did not put action to that. And then two, if I am in my subconscious, so this is a very personal example for me of what this means for my life and how I've, like, the Lord's been like, hey, this is you right here. So for money. So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire, like I want to be a presidential diamond, whatever. But I think in my subconscious, which it's crazy because the book, The Millionaire Mindset, was talking about this tonight. It was talking about your financial blueprint. Like, you have this financial blueprint already established. Right now, every single one of us has a financial blueprint. And that is completely just based on your past, how you were raised, the people who influenced you, culture. All of those things told you things about money that you now subconsciously believe, and you're speaking all these things with your conscious mind, but yet your subconscious is telling you something different. Does that make sense? Okay. So you're saying that you want money, but in the back of your mind, you're like, your subconscious is like, oh, but money's bad. Money makes you greedy because your mom told you that when you were young. Or for my personal example, so basically me growing up, like, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich by any means. Like, I mean, I would ask my mom, like, hey, can we go out to eat? And we just didn't have the money for it. Or I would say, hey, can we go on this vacation? We just didn't have the money for it. We went on vacations whenever I was a kid. And then whenever I got to like elementary, middle, high school, I never went on a vacation except for my 10th grade year because we just didn't have the money for it. So we were just always barely getting by. We were making ends meet, but there was not really a lot left over. My dad was more of a spender. My mom was more of a saver. My mom was always saving stuff just to save it. She was very like, and I don't want to say greedy, but she's very like tight with her money. Like, she's not like, oh my gosh, yeah, let me give it to everybody. Like, oh, you need something? Here you go. She's like, oh, you need it? Well, okay, but I might need it later on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to save it so I can just keep it in just in case. And what this book said was, side note, they were like, if you keep saving for a rainy day, like, stop, like, you're intentionalizing your money or whatever he said. He was like, if you keep saving for a rainy day, guess what you're going to bring about? A whole bunch of rainy days. So start saving your money for a joyous day. Start saving your money for the day that your finances are completely like resolved. That's what he was saying. But anyways, so with all that being said about my parents, like, I think in my head, I'm like, okay, so I should, like, I want to be, and I'm just going to use a very personal example. So like, I want to be a presidential. Okay. But with that comes a pay raise. With that comes being able to pay off debt, and the fact that I have money, like and this is another thing too, is like, we had a really close family that we were friends with, and they had more money than we did. And my mom looked down on them for having more money than we did, which it sounds weird. And I don't know how that works, but like, they would go and buy a new car, and she was like, well, I just don't want to live outside of our means. And like, whatever that even means, but like, she was just like, I'm not going to buy that new car because we just don't need a new car. And I'm like, Mom, this one's like barely running. Kind of, we do need a new car. And she was just like looking down on them for getting a new car, or they would always be able to go out to eat and stuff. And she would make it look like it was a bad thing that they did these things and that they should have been saving their money or whatever. So anyway, so now I feel like subconsciously I'm realizing in these books and listening to these audibles, I'm like, dude, that's me. That's why I haven't been able to break past triple diamond, is because I feel like if I have more, I'm going to be looked down upon, just like my mom looked down on those people. And that's not the case, but that's how I'm trained in my brain. Subconsciously, I think that way. Or maybe your parents said, like, I'm not made of money. And like, that's like how you're subconsciously thinking. Or every time you ask them for money, they're like, well, I don't have it. Like, we just don't have that. We're just broke. Sorry, we don't have it. And that's subconsciously what's in your mind. And I see some of y'all shaking your heads because we all went through that. Like, we're all in one of those situations. Or maybe your parents had so much money, but they spent all of it. And so they had nothing left over. And you're worried that if you make all this money, you're just going to go out and blow it and you're still not going to have anything and you're going to be scraping by. Whatever it is, whatever your situation is, there's something in your brain that subconsciously, so if you have paper out, I want you to write the first 5 things that you think about money. The first 5 things that you think about when you hear the word money, good or bad. I know for me, and I'll tell you all mine after you write yours down, because I don't want to like influence what y'all write down and make you think of something that you're not actually thinking. But I did this too, like literally in the book, she told us to write down the first 5 things that we think about money. And that is what your subconscious really believes about money. Just like whether it's like my situation or, you know, a number of other situations, like, I mean, strapped and broke and, you know, whatever your situation is, like that is what's ingrained into your mind. And so there's a reason that you've hit this wall, and it's because even though you can say it over and over again, you haven't been putting the action towards the things that you want. Or 2, your subconscious is limiting you because you don't truly believe that you can have that. You don't truly believe that you're worthy of that. You don't truly believe that you deserve that, or that you're greedy for wanting that. That's kind of how I feel. It's like I'm greedy for wanting more. Like like I have what I need. Like I have enough to pay bills, and I'm so greedy if I want more than that. And so it's a constant battle between what I want and what my subconscious will allow me to have. Okay, so if y'all have already written yours down, I'll write down what mine was. Money. First things I think about, fighting, because my parents fought a lot. They actually had a divorce after my dad lost his job. Not because of that necessarily, but that had a lot to do with it leading up to all these events that happened afterwards. The second one is greedy. Like I'll look greedy for having more money because that's how my mom perceived other people. She was like, oh my gosh, like why would they do that? Like she's like almost like holier than thou because she was poor. I'm like, and now that's how I think. Like it's so weird. And then the other thing was like stuff. Like it's just people are just getting, I'm just like wanting stuff, or that I'm just like shallow. That I'm going to be greedy. I'm worried that I will be greedy because my mom has more of a tendency to be greedy than really generous. And so not that she is greedy, but she has that tendency more so than being generous. And so I'm worried that I will become that way even if I have a lot of money. I feel like every single penny that I make, I need to save it. I cannot spend it. And that's been an issue with me and Derek, let me just tell you, because I feel he's like, let's go do this. And I'm like, I have to save this money. I have to save this money. I cannot spend this money. And he's like, babe, are you kidding me? Like, it's literally a pair of shoes and you have holes in yours. And I'm like, but I can put duct tape on them, you know? Like, so there's this constant battle. And then it's bad to have a lot, or you look proud, or you'll be proud. There's just so many things. Yeah. I feel like so many of us have such like similar situations. So you can like all relate with what I'm talking about, probably. Okay. So that's a subconscious versus conscious mind. And again, this is from You Are a Badass, but there's also a lot of it in Millionaire Mindset, or Millionaire Mind. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, sorry. Okay, so anyways, the next few things that they talk about is, so in this book, the only thing I don't like is that she refers to God as a couple of different things. And she says, she's talking about the Lord. I know that she is, but she uses the universe, or she'll say a source energy or a higher power. One time she used the pronoun she or her. And so I don't personally agree with that. So I literally scratched out the word universe and put God. So anywhere she says the universe, I did change it to God. So whenever I read it, I'm going to say God, but that's not actually what it says, but it's what she means. And she like talked about how like God had kind of like broken through to her, and like whatever. So that's a different part of the book. But she said all of us are connected to this limitless power, and most of us aren't even using but a fraction of it. And I highlighted, starred, and underlined in parentheses that, because I was like, that's so true. Like God has so much power, and we're only tapping into a tiny bit of it. I read one time in daily devotion, you know, like God, we literally pray such small, insignificant, tiny, dumb prayers. And I know prayer is dumb, but kind of. Like, we're literally like, God, if you can do this, like, can you please give me a raindrop? And he owns the whole ocean. Why are we asking him for a raindrop when he owns the ocean? Like, we're only using a fraction of the power that he has. We're not even tapping into all of it. Okay, and so then this is something that was really cool, and just wait till the end of it. So if you're not really an auditory learner, and I kind of like lose people whenever I'm reading, I'm one of those people that I'm like, I cannot pay attention if I can't see it. Stick with me, because at the end you're going to hear something that's really cool, but I have to read the beginning of it for you to get the whole thing. So she says, our energy is taking a joyride in these bodies of ours, learning, growing, and evolving along the way. One would hope anyways. I suppose numbing, shrinking, and moving back in with our parents is also an option, until our corporal journey comes to an end and we move on. This realization that we're made up of and connected to God made me want to have a deeper understanding of spirituality so that I can make my physical experience as awesome as possible. And let me tell you, ever since I got into it, it has been awesomeness maximus. When I'm connected to God in the flow, I'm so much more powerful, so much more in tune to the physical world and the world beyond, and just so much happier in general, which if y'all know the Lord, you can 100% relate to that. Whenever you're like actually following Jesus, you can totally tell a difference. And the more I meditate and the more attention that I give to this relationship with my invisible superpower, the more effortlessly I can manifest the things I want in my life and do it with such specificity and at such a rapid rate that it makes my hair stand up. It's like I finally figured out how to work this magic wand. And if loving the spirit is wrong, I don't want to be right. We're all attracting energy to ourselves all the time, whether we realize it or not. And if we're vibrating at a lower frequency, feeling pessimistic, needy, victimized, jealous, shameful, worried, convinced that we are ugly, whatever, yet we expect a high frequency, awesome things, experiences come into our lives, then we're often disappointed. And she was talking about like a radio. Like so you need to raise your frequency to match the vibration of the one that you want to tune into. So basically she was saying, she was like, you know, basically if you're like trying to dial into like a slow jams radio station on 105.9, but your dial is tuned to 89.9 and it's a national public radio, not only are you going to be slow jamless, like you're not going to have your slow jams, but you're going to be more likely to attract a discussion about immigration laws in the US instead of a relaxing like music. So you attract what you're putting out, but you have to turn your frequency. And so the cool thing about our blueprints that we were talking about earlier is you have the ability to change it. You can change your subconscious mind, and there's some declarations that you can say over and over again. And I have the link to that because I have the book, Millionaire Minds, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. So I can send those out to everybody. I can like screenshot it or whatever, and y'all can put it up wherever you want to. But this stuff is so good. Like, let me see what I can get through really quick. Okay, so another thing is all we have to do is align our energy with what we want and take decisive action to allow this good into our lives, which a lot of us have a problem with. We won't allow good things to happen to us because of our subconscious mind thinking that's a bad thing or that we're greedy for wanting good things. And this decisive action part is key. Sadly, we just can't float around on our neighbor's pool on a raft with cup holders, sipping cocktails and being all high frequency while waiting for unicorns to fly down from the sky. We have to take action, hell bent for glory kind of action. And so I think that's where a lot of us, if it's not your subconscious mind, it's your lack of action. And a lot of y'all are like, oh my gosh, like I've been doing all these things, but I'm just not there yet. But it's because your subconscious is limiting you, or you're like, dude, I got that under control. I have my subconscious and my conscious mind under control, which I don't think that any of us do because not a lot of us knew about this before. But you're like, I got that. But you haven't been doing the work that it takes. You're like claiming it. You're like, I am this rank. I got this. Like, I'm so on fire. I love this business. I am diamond. And then you're like, like, you know, you're not doing anything with it. Like, you're just chilling. And so it takes action too. Trying to remember if there's anything else. Oh, one last thing. Have you ever had a dream where you're flying and you're having such a blast, but then you realized, hey, wait a minute, I'm flying. I can't fly. And then you come crashing back down to the ground and you can't get yourself up again no matter how hard you try? That is the way the beliefs work. If it seems impossible, you have to have faith anyways. And the second you stop believing, you pop the bubble and stop attracting the magic in your life. Sounds a lot like a Bible story that I know about Peter walking on water when he immediately realized, wait, I can't walk on water. He fell immediately. So this is biblical, y'all. And I don't know that she knows the Lord. I know that she believes in God now versus before, but I don't know that she truly knows the Lord. But God is using her in this book to show people himself. Like, it's really, really cool. A lot of the stuff that she has is biblical. Like, there's a story literally about that. Then she goes and talks about like how this life is totally amazing and we get so caught up in this and that and this and that when like whenever we were kids we weren't worried about any of this stuff. And so that we just need to be like have that peace that kids have where they're literally like, you look at kids and you're like, I'm so jealous of you, like you're not worried about anything. We can be like that. We just have chosen to worry about all of these different things. And that's as far as I got. Well, actually I got a little bit further, but that was the best thing. Okay, and then this is the thing that I wanted to leave y'all with, and then we're going to get off here and get on the team Zoom. So text your teams and remind them if you haven't yet. But she said the leading cause of sucking, parentheses, staying broke, dating morons, uncontrollably crying in public because we hate our lives, is that we haven't yet woken up to how truly powerful we are or how massively abundant our God is. She said universe, but God. So like that's why we're sucking, is because we have not woken up to how powerful we are and how massively abundant our God is. And so if we do those two things, so I'm going to write that down because that was actually really good. I'm just going to write like I am powerful and God is massively abundant. And so if we can realize those two things, then we're going to pass through whatever wall we feel like we're hitting right now. And maybe you don't feel like you're hitting a wall right now, but you will one day. And so these are principles that you can apply then at that point. Anyways, hopefully this is helpful for y'all. I did record it if there was someone that couldn't get on here. I know we had a couple people that had work or other obligations, so I can send this to them. Chloe, do you want to save it for next week since we only have a minute left? But I want to hear it. Okay, write it down so you don't forget.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, all right. Remember the Zoom ID is different. It's not mine. It's Kelsey's Zoom ID. So y'all go hop on the Zoom, okay? Love y'all.